When I think of Gears of War, I think of heads exploding like meat piñatas. I think of liver surgery performed with chainsaws, and I think of giant bastards with necks as wide as their heads. I do not think of musical theatre, unless it's Andrew Lloyd Webber's rarely performed Phantom of the Chopera, which is why it surprised me to find an extended sequence in Gears 5 based on hit box office sensation Hamilton. Here it's named Embry after Nasser Embry, the guy who founded the Coalition of Ordered Governments. Thanks for that, Gearspedia. This isn't just some poster Easter egg, but a whole committed bit, with dressing rooms full of historic wigs and collectible lyrics. If this video gets 5,000 likes, I will rap this myself. And there's a fight with a meat beast around rotating stage scenery, while Embry's soundtrack drowns out the gunfire. Squint and it's just another room of waist-high cover, as Gears of War as it comes, but man, if you don't feel the Coalition having some real fun with this one, your Broadway jazz hands soon return to more traditionally manly pursuits, like thumping, or clenching into a fist because you can't express your emotions to your distant father.
That wasn't necessary, and you know it.
But Gears 5 never loses the playfulness of that theatre shootout. You fight on frozen lakes, shooting the ice to dunk enemies into the cold. Look at them! You sneak around platoons of slumbering murder bots, synchronising battery tugs with a co-op PAL to avoid a mass activation.
Oh shit! They're active!
There's an extended siege in a flight training facility, where a malfunctioning centrifuge beheads friends and foes alike. Houston, we have a problem. I can't get enough of this stuff. Or there's my favourite of all, a push across stormy sand with lightning strikes causing pillars of fulgurite to bloom to life, providing fresh cover for you, or just a pile of pointy rocks to push onto a monster's head. I mean, come on, that is glorious. At this point, I should probably say you're watching Rock Paper Shotgun. I actually tried to draw our initials in the snow, but it came out as rock, sort of squiggle thing. So here's the proper thing on screen now, as I ask you to like and subscribe. Because people who do subscribe get a thumbs up from Linda Hamilton of all people, and people who don't have to eat horrible Leviathan egg-flavoured crisps. Yuck! As I chuckled my way through more ice-dunking escapades, I wondered to myself, where was this playfulness in Gears of War 4? That game marked the Coalition as nothing more than caretakers, producing an accurate but safe copy of Epic's earlier work. It was the Force Awakens approach. Familiar beats, younger cast, a few grizzled oldsters for the fans. Does that make Gears 5 The Last Jedi? I mean, Marcus Phoenix doesn't sup from a marine cow at any point, and more's the pity. But there's a sense of humour and visual invention to this endless parade of battles that does remind me of that oddball Star Wars entry. Superficially, there's also a desert world where shifting the topsoil reveals darker hues underneath. It's convenient for this metaphor, but probably a coincidence. That desert planet is one of two locations where Gears 5 does depart the template more dramatically. After an opening act of linear streets and Broadway bust-ups, the action shifts to semi-open world regions. You get a fun wind-propelled skiff that primarily exists to let glorious ice fields go whizzing by at a silky frame rate, or just turn the game into a weird snowplow simulator. It's like scraping ice from a car windscreen, but the windscreen is the entire world. The skiff also lets you tackle certain story tasks out of order, or sniff out a couple of side missions. If you opt to play in co-op, as I did for about half the campaign, the non-driver is forced to man a radar turret, which has such flimsy range that you may as well treat it like a baby seat and just sit there and enjoy the ride. These open areas are a hefty roadie run away from Gears' usual corridors, but baby steps by open world standards. It's more Half-Life 2 Episode 2's vehicle sections than, say, a Metro Exodus sandbox to lose yourself in. Aside from a few well-signposted caches, look across the sand and ice for bits that aren't sand and ice, there's not much to discover by accident. although I do love the designs of the relic weapon variants that you find in these locations. I just wish we could have stored more than 2 of them on the damn sled. Is it unfair to ask more of exploration, given that it is the Coalition's first expedition? At its heart, Gears 5 remains a cover shooter, so really the skiff can only serve the purpose of transporting you between that cover. And while it feels like a lot of developmental effort for little explorative return, the structure does allow us to visit pockets of action that maybe wouldn't have found a home elsewhere. The main benefit of not mainlining the central story is collecting parts for your combat drone Jack. Previously operating as a glorified key, Jack now has abilities that liven up the combat system. Handy, as it has to stay fresh for a campaign much longer than any that came before. What starts with a simple radar ping and the power to stun enemies out of cover soon makes way for invisibility cloaks and this shield that Jack nicked from Overwatch's Reinhardt. I also love hijacking bastions to borrow their shields as you chew up their former client. These powers don't radically alter the way you play, but it does give you more say over how you want to kick the carnage off. Stringing together cloaked backstabs and hiding away for a recharge doesn't feel like COG-endorsed tactics. I mean, these are the guys who thought that a simple bayonet to the stomach was too subtle, but it is a welcome change of pace from the endless mulchings. Jack becomes more useful on higher difficulties, especially his power to place shock traps during siege waves, or just beef up lead just as a boss opens up a gooey crevice. It's a layer of fun strategy in co-op too, as knowing when to drop a damage boosting radar or revive a fallen ally makes all the difference. Playing as Jack, which is an option in 2 or 3 person co-op, and yes, you can play local split screen with up to 3 people, is slightly less fun. Firing his zapper lacks the sledgehammer on watermelon impact of bullets, and fetching weapons for friends isn't half as fun as sending him to yoink rifles from sniper perches when you are playing by yourself. Side note, this is such a great idea. Normally when you kill a sniper in Gears of War, you don't get to play with their toy until after the fight. Here you can grab it and use it to finish off their friends. One thing I will say for Jack is that playing as him does let you briefly inhabit swarm troops with his mind control, which feels like a fun nod to Gears of War 3's Beast Mode. However you choose to apply your vicious Robo-Bud, there's no denying he grows the action vocabulary of Gears 5 in the same way that those ice water takedowns and fulgurite toppling does. And that lethal lexicon only expands with every hour. Here, let's swap the Lancer's chainsaw for a mortar. And yep, Jack can open those steam vents onto the goons using them as cover. And ouch, that crystal-tipped mace really did just turn a pouncer into goop. It's only when you're in the final stretch that you realise you haven't actually thrown a frag grenade into an emergence hole for a good 10 hours. You were just too busy with new ideas or fresh combinations of old ones to actually notice. There's also a chance you were simply blinded by the razzle-dazzle of the thing. It seems a lifetime ago that Gears was heralded as the graphical benchmark. Do you remember how Epic used to show off Unreal updates with Gears of War tech demos, like the old infamous wibbling meat cube?
Yeah, you can see the player can interact with that, push little pieces of it around, and it's all very elastic and buoyant.
Well, after a few years away, Gears 5 rediscovers that wow factor. It's partly through art direction, which whisks us to places where the play of light can really impress. Think of glistening ice caves or buried rooms gradually exposed under windy assault. And it's partly down to explosives and electric beams that fill those rooms with flashy particle effects. An RTX 2080 made swift work of the game at max settings at 4K and 60 FPS. You'd probably hope that it would, and it looks really tasty on split screen too. I should note that I did experience some visual bug outs. Cutscenes would occasionally stutter and temporarily freeze, and at one point all the sand in the desert flew into the sky, which was pretty weird. The game has a day one patch, and AMD and Nvidia drivers are still on the way, so I'm hoping they've worked out how to anchor the sand to the floor. I've also only had limited time to test multiplayer elements. See, the campaign is but one flavour of an everything but the kitchen sink approach to cover shooting. Other varieties include Horde, the returning wave-based mode that I've only been able to test with AI helpers, and Escape, which is a new mode that sees you outrunning a wave of poison gas with just a pistol to begin with. It's pitched as a 20-minute alternative to Horde's hour-long requirement. I do like its more careful pacing and having to make every bullet count. I mean, finally finding a sniper bullet or two feels like a tangible turning of the tables. But only time will tell if collecting and upgrading skill cards will actually evolve the feel of the game enough to make the high score chasing worthwhile. 2 hours of traditional Gears multiplayer proved harder to decipher, mainly because there's a Terminator cross promotion, which meant I spent those hours chuckling at Linda Hamilton repeatedly bellowing "Terminated" as she shot through monsters' faces. Like, we get it, Linda, you were from Terminator, just chill out. Although playing bodyguard mode and protecting your leader bot from an army of T-800s as Sarah Connor does add a weird frisson of pop culture drama. There's definitely a dose of the campaign's more playful energy in the maps too. I've got a lot of time for the King of the Hill arena that has a runaway train plough through the capture point. I guess the takeaway from this is that however you want to crouch behind cover and shoot monsters, Gears 5 has you catered for. Whether it's crouching with friends and shooting waves of enemies, or crouching through furious set pieces in the campaign, or crouching and getting killed by teens who are better at multiplayer than you, or crouching with pals and worrying that you should really be running from the poison gas and not crouching at all. It even has you covered if you want to crouch and shoot Linda Hamilton, which is a frankly sinister desire. All this can be enjoyed as part of Xbox Game Pass and sampled for a £2 trial price if you haven't already. It's the campaign crouching that impressed me the most, the way it dips its toe in a light RPG direction. I'm enjoying this trend of RPGs but not RPGs. Action games that borrow some of the language of the more complex genre, things like side quests, character leveling, exploration, but in such a way that there's never any doubt that you'll miss a pixel of it. I'm thinking of things like Metro Exodus or Control, games which put you on a longish leash but take you for a walk around a world that is so handcrafted that it feels rude not to gobble the whole thing up. Gears 5 left my belly nice and fat and keen for the next course. I hope you enjoyed this look at Gears 5 on PC. If you have any questions about the game, just pop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. You could also watch the replay of our stream. It covers the first hour of the game in co-op and a bit of the open world fun. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, could you maybe give it a like and write something kind under it? If you really enjoyed it, you could subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun. We try and cover as much as we can on PC, whether it's preview fun, analysis pieces, or our continued adventures in Let's Play Divinity Original Sin 2. Very different to Gears that, but you might like it. Thanks for watching Rock Paper Shotgun, and hopefully see you soon. Now, back to the head soaring for me.